was just a notch in the book here. She may not have emailed us in there. I didn't have anything. Hey, Chelsea, on the sanitation solutions, wasn't this from Friday to Monday? Switch. Okay. And they're here, so it's Friday. You said what? Okay.
It is 6 o'clock, and I will call this meeting of the Honey Grove City Council meeting here at Lottie Hall. It's April 15th. Tonight we have all the persons present: Mr. Hall, Ms. Lane, Ms. Massey, Mr. Peavy, and Mr. Webb, all accounted for. At this time, I will ask Mr. Hall if he will lead us in the invocation.
Let's pray. Father, we thank you for this day. Lord, we thank you for the Spirit of brethren. Lord, we pray for the country. Lord, we pray for leaders, for the one servants overseas. Lord, we pray for those right now that are just also just struggling with illnesses. Lord, with families that are just struggling with things that are just unimaginable. Lord, we know that you're in control. Lord, we know that nothing has caught you off guard. So, Lord, we surrender all of this to you. And Lord, we trust you. Lord, I pray tonight. I pray that you glorify you. Lord, that you would just give us wisdom and discernment. And Lord, we thank you. We praise you. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Thank you. We move to the public forum, and I believe that everyone who has signed up to speak is on the agenda, is planning to speak on an item that's on the agenda. I do not believe there's anyone else here who plans to speak in the public forum or has signed up to do so. Correct. We will move then to the consent items. You should have in your packet the City Council meeting minutes, the City Council special meeting of March 21st, 25, and the City Council workshop March 25, 2025. Liabilities and disbursements, City Secretary report, Police Department report, Utility Department report, and the Fire Department report. Unless there are issues with any of those items, I'll ask for the consent item agenda be approved for a motion.
A motion that we approve the consent items as presented.
We have a motion, Ms. Lane, that we approve the consent items. Do we have a second? Second from Mr. Peavy. All in favor? Motion carries unanimously. We come down to Mayor and Council presentation. This is information only, not action items. If there's anyone here from the council who would like to present any information. A couple of things that I will mention is that there was notice today that the Chamber of Commerce is not planning to have its banquet this time. The effort is going to be put into something called Charlie's Carnival for the Mayberry child who's had some major health issues. The information will be forthcoming about that, so please keep your eyes open and be as supportive as you can be for this worthy cause. The second thing has to do with the upcoming election, which is May 3rd, and early voting starts the 22nd, goes through the 29th. And that will be held at City Hall, both for the school board meeting member and as well as the council persons. And then the regular May 3rd election will be held here at Lottie Hall. So we would ask that you consider and stay tuned for the upcoming election. Anything else? All right. Old business, take action on, we have not listed, so we move to new business. Consider and take action on. The first item that we have is a resolution directing publication of notice of intention to issue $420,000 in combination tax and surplus revenue certificates of obligation to provide funds for water system improvement and resolving other matters related to the subject. And so, Ms. Carson.
This meeting is mainly just post notice in the newspaper for the believe it's called the Loss Mitigation Texas Water Development Board project, where y'all received a 90% grant to finance $420,000, and that they'll be over 30 years. Your payments are $23,000 a year, which is, again, a lot of money to $4 million for pretty small payments. So this is excellent for the city. And tonight is, of course, just the post notice in the newspaper, and I'll come back on June 10th, and we will authorize the bonds.
You want to just give a quick overview?
So what motion is that?
Did you hear?
Mayor, like,
We're good. You're good. Okay.
I'm good, like.
As long as everybody's good. Very
Like,
good.
You don't-
Any questions or comments?
Questions?
Okay.
What motion?
We have a
I'll
motion.
make a motion, we get
Mr. Peavy, that we approve this resolution. We have a second, from Mr. Hall. All in favor? The motion carries unanimously. So Ms. Lane, Mr. Hall, Mr. Webb, Ms. Massey, and Mr. Peavy all approve the resolution. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Betsy.
Have we signed what you need?
Thank you.
And you're welcome to stay as long as you want to, or you
I'll leave my head back.
head back. Okay.
Oh, come on.
Thank you, man.
Thank you so much. Thanks for your help. We appreciate it so much.
Enjoy it. I'll see y'all.
Yeah, thank you.
This is so confusing.
That brings us to item B, which is the audit, Honey Grove's audit. We have a representative here who's going to go over the audit with us. This is Hanahan and Holmes, and this is an effort on the part of a couple of people, maybe more, trying to get the audit done. Thank you.
Okay, so you should have two packets in front of you. One is a larger packet that's green bound, and then there's a smaller one behind it. I'll start with the larger packet. And on page 1 of that packet, that's our independent auditor's report, and it states that we have audited the financial statements of the city as of and for the year ended September 30th, 2024. And in our opinion, the financial statements present fairly in all material respects the financial position of the city. So in other words, you've received a clean opinion for that fiscal year. It goes on to state that management is responsible for the preparation of the financial statements, and our responsibility as auditors is to express an opinion on those financials. I'll highlight just kind of the statements that are in here that you see, notably starting on page 5. These are your governmental funds, which are your general fund and debt service fund. And you can see your total assets, total liabilities, and total fund balance for September 30th, 2024. It was fairly consistent with the prior year, with the exception of some unearned revenue last year for the CARES money that's not there this year that was earned. The next page will be your revenue and expenditures and changes in fund balance for those governmental funds. It was fairly consistent with last year, with the exception of the grant revenue that I mentioned. It was higher last year for the CARES money. If you'll skip to page 8, this is your proprietary fund, which is your water and sewer fund. Same thing on that statement. You can see your total assets, total liabilities, and total net position for the year. And page 9 is your revenue and expenses for the year ended September 30th, 2024. And you can see your charges for services. They were up about 6% from last year. Page 11 is a new statement. I'll just point that out. A few years ago, there was a standard issue that we had to report separately when you collect money for police funds that gets remitted to the state. It used to be in your general fund. Now, if it's material, it's reflected here as a separate statement. So you'll see they just zero out the cash you have is what is due to the state for your police funds for that last quarter. And then the next page shows the total that came in that you just state for the year. So that's new. You won't see it on last year's report. The next pages start your accounting policies. I won't go through all of those. Page 23, Alcala is your capital asset activity for the year, so you can see additions. Notably, there was a property 401 South Fifth Street, that's the land and the buildings additions for the year. And then you had signs, street signs and hardware, and then a Tahoe and tasers for the police department. So those are your major additions for that fiscal year. And then the next page are the additions for the water and sewer funds. Notably, your water system improvements are your main increases for the year. And the equipment was a motor that was purchased. I'll skip to page 33. The only new debt for 2024 was First Financial, and that was for police range and tasers. So that's the increase of the 62,000 that you see there. The other packet you have is our communication with you guys as the council. If we had any difficulties or anything like that, it would be recorded in here. The findings are listed, they start at the bottom of page 3. The first two are typical for cities your size, just that it's difficult to segregate duties with limited staff. That's a normal finding that will occur. And then the financial accounting and reporting is just that we prepare these financial statements and those to you guys. That's what that is saying. One thing I will point out, just to put on your mind, on the next page, the Public Funds Investment Act, you're required to review your investment policy once a year. It wasn't reviewed, so if you'll put on your agenda to review it before September 30th, 2025, that way you meet that requirement. And then your investment officer also has to have training. You were okay on that, but with new staff, you'll want to make sure that you get investment training. If your city secretary or whoever is listed as your investment officer, there's a certain number of hours in training they have to take. So there's an initial one plus renewal every 2 years. That is all I have.
Questions?
I have questions.
Okay. And I'll do the best I can without the details.
Right. So I see a lot like on the journal entry number 5,
Okay.
Appendix 8. I don't have a page. Yeah, it's in the thin one. Yeah. The very, page 5. In the thin one.
Okay.
I see that there was a debit to the police loan and a credit to city sales and use taxes.
That'll just be a reclass. So like if a payment was made and it was coded accidentally to city taxes, we would reclass that. Now I can go look, I don't have it in front of me and this doesn't have a description, but.
That was just a really odd GL difference
And
to me.
sometimes it will just, I'll have to look at it and go back and see. But likely it's
Just a human error.
Yes.
Okay. And then, so there were a couple of those like that. On journal entry number 19, the miscellaneous expense for $1,232.21, and then it was credited to debt proceeds. Can you explain the difference between those two GLs?
My guess, looking at it, because the debt proceeds were like $62,000, it's probably fees when you got the loan for the tasers, and that's probably a reclass of those fees to show that it was. I'm not sure. Again, I can go pull all of these up and give you the detail, but I don't have it in front of me.
Okay.
I mean, I think the total loan amount was
62 something,
yeah,
I
so
think.
It's likely those.
That's
two
probably
numbers.
the difference. Okay. And then my last one, I mean, I had lots of other notes, but on journal entry number 31, there were some FICA differences. could those data entry errors result in us getting a letter from the IRS stating that we didn't file our numbers properly? It's been a long time since I've done Sage, so I can't remember.
So there were some untimely filings.
Yes.
And that's in here as well, and that's what will prompt the letters if they're not remitted on time. That won't, some of the, we accrue anything that we know you owe that related to anything prior to September 30th, 2024. And there were some entries in here to accrue some of those that were owed. Some of it too is recoding between like police and the different funds and getting them in the correct fund, and that's going to be part of that entry too. But there are some entries related to the untimely filings.
Well, this one, I don't think it was an untimely filing, it was a difference in filing.
Okay.
And I have the letter here.
And what was?
It was 2023 tax year. Chastity, do you remember off the top of your head? Wage reports for your employees may not be correct.
I do know when some were ran, the time period was off, and so they did have to be corrected.
Okay.
And I do know, I saw one of those in addition to the other ones, and so it may change what was originally reported versus, now I thought that had been addressed, but if there was additional tax owed, it's in your liabilities and report.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
Other questions?
She got all the ones I had.
And you're free, I mean, honestly, we can, if you have specific questions, you can call me and we can go through all of the journal entries in detail, and I have it in front of me.
All right. Are we ready to approve the audit as presented? Do we have a motion?
I motion that we approve the audit as presented.
We have a motion from Ms. Lane that we approve the audit as presented. We have a second. We have a second from Ms. Massey. All in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you so much. We appreciate your coming back.
Thank
to be
you.
with us. All right, that brings us to item C, and I believe tonight that we have Mr. Bucky Covey here with us to instead of Justin. So come up and talk to us about what you'd like to do.
Sure, thank you. Bucky Covey, route manager for Sanitation Solutions. Coming to y'all tonight to get an approval on a possible residential pay change. We picked up Honey Grove on Friday for years. I've been a part of it. Would like to change it and go to Monday. If y'all do approve it, we get to do that. I'd like to sticker the cards on May the 16th. Then in return on May the 30th on a Friday, pick up residential, and then roll back on June the 2nd, which is Monday, and pick it up again. Anything that we can do to help, I've got a copy of what the stickers will look like. They're 2x4s. We'll place them on top of the lid on the 16th on that Friday.
Questions or comments?
Y'all too live on this first time for me.
Are you ready to?
If no questions, I'll make a motion, we move it to Monday.
All right, we have a motion for Mr. Peavy that we move to Monday for Sanitation Solutions pickup. We have a second. We have a second from Mr. Webb. All in favor? Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for being here. That brings us to item D, Vineyard Avenue. Someone who wants to speak on that?
Priority on that one was.
How about pulling that down a little?
No, we're better. Okay. Regarding Vineyard Avenue, my mom has property, forgive me, I'm a little bit anxious for this, has property down that street, and one of the things we've noticed, and one of our priorities is trying to seek to place a stop sign and a street sign for that street. Like all other streets that intersect with West Market. Reason we think it would be great is in that area, it is residential. There are families that live on both sides, and it is growing as time goes by. So for us, that importance of keeping community safe, pets safe, the area safe is really nice. Additionally, Vineyard Avenue hasn't really been on the radar since before. Not many people used it. Nowadays, it is growing. More people, more traffic are going down it, and we do see that increasing as well. So having signage there not only to complement the city of Honeygrove, but as well as have a good indicator of what that street is for safety and emergency calls, especially now with our nephews in the area and people's kids and grandkids to be able to call if they need an emergency and have a pinpoint area to direct it to that area. So that for us would be our priority for that street, if possible. Additionally, now with the development of that street and being more open, and we understand, it's public, so access is open to it. Maintenance is something that I think has been on people's mind and concern, not just us, but neighbors, and rightfully so. So we're trying to see if the city has any plans to look at that for regrading, and not necessarily paving, but at least putting gravel with the rising of flooding and stuff like that, so it's quite muddy out there. Now, further on, when it comes to the maintenance of the street, is identifying how wide is the street. It's like I said, back in the day, no one really paid attention to it. Now with our access, families are building their lives there. What is this street? How far does it go? At what point is it no longer a street? It is a dead end at some point, so that's what we're trying to figure out. That way we are compliant with the guidelines that you put forth.
Somebody else going to speak? No? No. That's good. Questions? Comments?
So y'all are just requesting a street sign that says Vineyard on it, a stop sign?
Yes.
And then just inquiring about the maintenance of the road.
Yes, about maintenance, I understand, we're a small town, we can't put all resources there. Even if we're able to assist with that, like we don't mind assisting with clearing trees and brush, and neighbors are okay. So whatever can help this town, we will be happy to do so. Oh, and one more thing I'd like to add. I think resources went into a survey that identified certain markers. So with the idea, and I think actually your fence looks lovely, with wanting to build a fence, especially a welded one that's concreted, do we follow those markers, or is that whatever the city decides, we just will follow it that way?
Are there other questions from anyone else?
Do you have comments on the fence?
Maybe I just need information on my part if I have to reach out to like a city coding officer, or I'm not sure what the exact name is.
Yeah, there's been a long history with this area, and to get into it deeply, at one time there was a question about the Vineyard addition that. When that came up, the owner, Mr. Kavinsky's daughter, came and asked if we would eliminate the platting. There was platting for that whole area, but that was in 1901, I believe. And when she got ready to sell her property, she wanted all the plat removed. And at that time, when she came, the city thought that we were talking about her plat, her property, when in fact that plat included down to Martin Street. Okay? And there were a number of streets through there. There was Flora Street. This street was identified on the original plat. There was a Luther Street. I don't remember if it ran east and west, but they actually had named all of these streets and had planned to develop it. And that never happened. And so when she came, the assumption was that we were talking about her property, that she wanted to sell. So when the notice went out to the people that we had to notify, we were supposed to notify that we were going to close roads, we were going to do away with the plat. The only area that was notified, the entity that was notified was the church that was next door, the Baptist church there. Nobody else down the street was notified that we were planning to. Then the realization struck that we were not talking about Mr. Kavinsky's daughter's property. We were talking about the entirety down to Martin Street. And so we had not gained permission to close those streets. And we actually, the city actually paid for the survey and took action to close the street. And it was brought to our attention that some folks had not signed off on doing that, including you and your family. And so what that happened then is the streets they were just open. So, and the only street that really cuts, there's two streets through there. I don't know what the original street was called that you all have on the east side of Mr. Rich's property. There's a road there, and then there's a road, then there's the road that we're talking about. There were roads through there. And so when I went back to talk to Mr. Rich, basically, the conversation was that we couldn't close the road because we had not gotten permission for everybody to close the road. So we have a road there that really was never much developed. It's been used primarily, as I understand it, from the city's standpoint as access. But let me just say this, that when we originally closed the road, that roadway, essentially with the survey, would be split and shared, but between the two families that border it. That was the deal. Well, when we realized that couldn't happen, and the understanding was that we would not get residents that are along that roadway that would sign off on closing the roads. That was pretty much clear that everybody was not going to. So the road was there. So we have continued. Mr. Massey accesses that road, and I'm not sure. I think your water meter is still on your property at the inside of the gate, correct? Or has it been moved? It's been moved? No, it's still there. So that roadway is an access for the city as well to get back to that property in order to reach your meter. And so the roadway is open, and I'm not. Here's kind of where we are. That roadway is like Piner, which if you look at Piner down by the park, there's a couple of roadways there that are almost one lane through there. They're not wide roads. And from time to time, we've had to go down there and be sure that people don't park in the road, because we've on occasion, our chief has had to go down and say, don't park on the road. They had to park off the roadway. So anyway, this roadway is a narrow. It was a narrow road that was never developed, but the city has used it as easement. So I'm not quite clear if you're asking that be closed at this point and limited access.
To keep open as a street, like all the other streets that intersect with West Market.
Yeah.
And you're wanting the stop sign at the end of
Yeah,
Vineyard,
at the
correct?
intersection with West Market.
Okay, gotcha.
Because a lot of people that come to get trailer work with my brothers, they're from out of town. Their trucks and trailers.
So they just
they'll
leave
pull
out of there. Yeah, okay.
For that.
But you all have other access to the property.
For that area, no. And even in the future, if those 6 plots that are on the opposite side of the 20 acres get sold, that would be a different owner, and they would only have access as well.
Well, I make a motion, we add a stop sign and a street sign there.
I like the street.
Hey, our attorney is saying something.
Your agenda item does not allow you to address anything specific.
Okay.
It says, I mean, look at that. Who would know?
Yeah.
Who would know?
Yeah.
If you want to try to do some sort of stop sign or traffic control device, it needs to be listed that way. I heard 3 things mentioned, none of them were in the agenda. And I don't know when these things are prepared, who's going to talk about what. This would permit a general discussion of that, but not much action, because there's not anything specific to let everybody know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
I didn't know what was going to happen. I'm going to research, but I'm going to try to abandon it. That's what I thought. So if you can't take any action on the stop sign, the fence thing is not for y'all, it's to get a permit to each one, if not, to make it for you. So if you want to try to put a stop sign, you need to tell me that you've been in the ordinance and read it back.
Okay.
So they don't want to talk?
All right.
They do. Well, you need to tell them.
Is there, we have some other folks who also want to speak. Thank you so much. All right, we have Amber McHattie.
Hello, can everybody hear me? I'm Amber Mahaffey. Some different points were brought up. Honestly, I don't feel like any of us are clear what the guidelines are or what's happening right now. So I would say what I say, but I totally might be off base on what's happening. We are against it being a street. We do not want a stop sign. We've shared it with 3 families over 20 years. We've all maintained the road. We haven't had any problems until now. It needs to be a business street. It's not a business road. It goes to 1 property to the back and 2 properties on the side. There's never been need for any type of, I guess, street signs or stop signs. And I definitely see the safety point of it, where it can be safe, because I'm concerned with my kids and my grandkids. People are running up and down fast on that road, and I'm very concerned with my kids. But I don't feel that it should be used for traffic at all. I feel like it should be a personal use for the 3 properties that are there. So that's my proposal, is for it to be a personal road, not for it to be a business road. From all that I've known, it's always been an easement for EMS vehicles, for utility people, and for personal use, and that's what we've been successful at that. We haven't had any type of problems awry or any type of issues as of today with it being the way it is. I do agree, as Honey Grove gets bigger, but as of now, it's just still the 3 properties. So I think if it did grow, I do understand a need, but as of now, there's only 3 properties on this little section that we've been maintaining. I do want to go further, and I did look up the zoning in Honey Grove, and a street technically does have to be 22 foot, and then 30 foot from dwellings, homes. So that's a minimum of 82 foot that we would need for a road, and we do not even have that space for it to be a zoned street. So, again, we're against the road, but I appreciate y'all for listening, and thank you.
Thank you for the, let's see. Is this Kathy?
I don't live on either side. I live across the street, and we've had some big influx of cars going in and out, which if they make it a street, it's going to be a lot more cars. We've had issues with them backing trailers into our yard. We've had a car hit. I can't say for sure where it's from, but we've had to call the police, had to make a report. We've had, I mean, it's just, if they make the street, it's going to be a lot more issues on our part and across the street. There's a lot of in and out, late hours, a lot of traffic in and out. But anyways, I just am opposed to making it a full street. We've had issues already. I don't I mean, and I don't live on either side, so I'm not partial to either one. I'm not on either side, but I know I've had issues across the street, so I can see where it could be an issue living on either side of it. But that's about all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
James McCaffrey. Good. Very good. Well, obviously, we can't take any action on this item tonight, so we will come back with something more specific that will be on a future agenda. Thank you. It brings us down to E, and that's the website design company discussion. You have material in your packet, and we've had a conversation now ongoing for a while about trying to make a decision about the website design. And I believe you have in your packet one from Revised. This seems to be the one that the office staff and visiting with Jeff and going over, believe that it was the better of the two that we were looking at. The reality is, at this point, our website is really not up and functioning very well, and we hope that we'll end up with a website that's user-friendly and that we will be able to provide good information to the citizens of Hunting Road and be able to go in the website, pull up what you're looking for, and ordinance information and other kinds of things that we would like to be there. We're open for discussion at this point. If you all want to talk about this and make some sort of decision, or
I would just like to point out that I went to each one of the sample websites on my phone and my laptop and my iPad. They were very intuitive. They were very easy to locate and find, and so our less technologically sound people in town won't have any issues. I do have friends that work with websites all the time. They know this company and said that they are fantastic to work with. Given their price and their responsibilities on 1 hour and 24-hour access, everything that I've found on them, they're fantastic. So I'm just going to go ahead and make a motion to go with Revise and go ahead and get this fixed.
other comments?
I'll second.
So a motion, Mr. Webb, that we go with Revise.
Yes, sir.
We have a second from Mr. Peavy. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Brings us down to the ADP system for payroll. And I will just say this, I know we discussed this, and I realize that a system like this provides a lot of good information. I will tell you that at this point with 13 employees, Chastity is able to get our payroll out in about 30 minutes. It doesn't take a long time to get that, and that's just been her comment. So I'm just making that in her stead. So we're open for discussion.
Chastity, when you're filing taxes, are you finding any issues with that in your current process?
So Amy is doing that part of it, and I'm sorry that I don't have anything to add to that, but Amy's doing that part of it. So I do the payroll, and then Amy goes in behind me and files. And as of right now, I'm not aware of anything that she's having trouble with.
And it's all being filed timely?
Yes.
So I was the one that had kind of originally brought this to the table, and I think that after talking with Jamie prior, it was taking 3 or 4 hours for payroll, and I just felt like our time could have been put somewhere else efficiently. But then after talking to Chastity, if she's getting it done within 30 minutes, I don't see the point in spending any extra money that we don't need to spend for 13 employees. So.
Okay. Other comments? All right, we will take no action on this item. Adopting a right-of-way ordinance. Mr. Hamilton has sent us, and part of what has prompted after this is a discussion with 360 Broadband. We had a lengthy discussion with the individuals that are associated with this. Had a conversation about what our concerns were with them. And we also, Mr. Hamilton was here, and Mr. Swanky was here as well. And we talked about the things that seem to be of most importance to us. And Mr. Swanky brought an application for them to complete and to get back to us. And Mr. Hamilton has provided us with a right-of-way ordinance, which addresses some of the issues that, in providing this service to us. Some of it would be underground, some of it would be above ground. Do you want to add anything to this, Mr. Hamilton, please?
This is right through, does not have that special certificate from the Utilities Commission that just allows them to come in and push the city out of the way and say, you guys stand back, we're going to do it. So, in order for them to work here, they have to have our permission. And in order for us to manage the library, tearing everything up, just walking off and leaving it, we need to have this ordinance so that if they do destroy property, if they tear it up, we can ask them to repair it back to our satisfaction. It also gives us a way to kind of manage the different work groups that come into town, because what will happen is if they show up here, they'll say we need to start locating lines. Well, Charles and his group will be out locating lines, and inevitably something's going to get cut, something's going to break, they're going to hit the gas line, they're going to hit the water line. Well, we got to go fix it. Meanwhile, they've got a crew out there still pushing ahead because they're paying them. They're going to get another one. So now we're 2 water line behind. We can't get out in front of the line. Okay. This lets us kind of manage that, so we don't have much damage to the city. And it is necessary if you're going to get a franchise agreement. And I presented them for that.
Mr. Swanky's application covered a lot of territory, and he is supposed to, the people, the representatives from 360 are supposed to get that application over to Mr. Swanky to look at, and that's why we did not schedule them for tonight. So you should have some more information when they're on the schedule. We suggested that they would come to the May meeting. So we will get some more information to you so that you can have some answers to your questions.
Do we need to go ahead and
we do need
motion
to
to
do
accept
this.
this?
Yes, we do need to do this. Okay. So we have more discussion on the ordinance itself. I appreciate Mr. Hamilton's getting right on this and getting it back to us. If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the right-of-way ordinance.
I motion that we approve the right-of-way ordinance.
We have a motion from Ms. Lane that we approve the ordinance, the right-of-way ordinance. We have a second. Ms. Massey, approve that. Seconds. All in favor? Motion carries unanimously. Item H, I know, did you get a chance to?
I did not. I had gone to the ER, so I didn't go to that meeting. I plan on going to speak with them in May, so at the next school board meeting. So it'll be another month or so before I get to speak with them.
Let me just say this about these two properties. We tried to move forward on 6th Street. Actually, it's 2 buildings that are side by side there. And the issue is that these properties, Honey Grove is the trustee for 6th Street, this property, and we're the trustee for the Armory, which means, as the trustee, that we have an interest in those properties, but so does the school district, and so does the county. Ms. Massey had hoped to go to the school board and talk to them about interest in what, because when I spoke to the superintendent of schools, their interest was not in giving away any property. Their interest was in fact, they suggested we go through our tax sales. These properties have come up on the sheriff's sale before, each of them. And so at some point, if the city moves forward and put them on the market, at this point, we would share whatever income we receive from the sale with the school and the county, unless they decide that it is valuable to go ahead and sell it. But an effort has been made with the Armory at various points. That's just an update. Armory is still out there, and we will continue to look at it. There have been conversations that even if we sold the Armory building itself, we would not sell the property that is attached to it. And the discussion had been that we would keep the barns that are behind the Armory. Our interest is in what someone would do with the Armory building itself, because that's the issue. It's a little like the old high school. There's buildings that need work. No, so there's no action on this. It's just updating. Item I is review of the camper RV ordinance, and I believe Ms. Massey, you asked if it's beyond the agenda.
Yes, I did. I just wanted everybody to kind of review it and look through it. I had spoken with Mr. Hamilton last week, and we discussed a few things, but as far as changing any of the bone structure, I think we talked about it, that doesn't need to be done. I have addressed a few issues with Chief about different campers and RVs being utilized as living quarters. And so I just kind of wanted this in here for everybody to take a look at.
The ordinance part in general, just generally speaking, the ordinance speaks to individuals who are living in a camper or in a trailer on property, on a home site, rather than going out to one of the trailer parks and parking whatever they're living in there. And occasionally we have individuals who are living in a camper or living in something that's not appropriate. Jay, some of you probably know that we established a disc golf at the city park. There's been some concern expressed that people who are walking out there, the equipment that's used out there is close enough that when people are walking the trail, they can be injured, I guess. I'm not a disc fan, but Mr. Webb has had some conversations, and the idea would be to move it to a place that's more isolated out to the old golf course and to clean up an area out there that would accommodate this, and it would be used specifically for that rather than having people walk a walking trail. Mr. Webb, you wanted to speak to that?
I had multiple people reach out to me saying that they had issues with the location of the baskets that are out at the city park. And they were having issues because the baskets are right in the middle of the walkway, and one is but right up against one of the grills. And they didn't think that having the disc golf there in the city park right next to a pretty major highway is kind of mutually beneficial, and I honestly agree. The same number of baskets that are available at the city park is the exact same number of accessible fairways at the city golf course. It's currently being mowed by a family that is adjacent to the golf course. Terry Paul Cunningham has volunteered him and his guys to also take care of it, to alleviate some of the pressure off of Mr. Massey. It offers more parking area that the city park doesn't have available. It's accessible there from 82. So if we ever want to advertise it as a local disc golf course, as far as I know, the only other place is there at the VA in Bonham. But I just personally feel like it's a better use of property that we're already sitting on that isn't getting used for anything else.
My feeling on that is if we already have 4 holes that are being utilized, why not go ahead and fix the other 5 and open the golf course back up?
Terry Paul took me on a very adventurous side-by-side ride through that place. It would be a very costly endeavor. Even the small little bridges, they're broken down, overgrown with fallen trees and all kinds of things that it would require a lot of money and a lot of work to access the rest of it.
And our issue at the time that the golf course gave up their lease was water and keeping the greens, watering the greens out there. And there was a long history of battle there too. But that was one of their big problems, was trying to have enough water to keep the greens, take care of it. They just didn't have the money, finally, the membership that was left to take care of it. It had a long history, as you know. It was chartered, and the folks who were most involved with it here at Hunter Road were people who were merchants, who were well-to-do, and they would contribute to that and utilize it. But as time went on, their membership began to dwindle. And the last group that came before council, they dug a pond out there, hoping that they could. Well, first of all, there was a lawsuit that the fishing club said you can't take water out of the lake to the greens. And then they dug a pond, hoping that they would have enough water. Well, the pond didn't hold enough water. Wouldn't last when the weather got really bad. And the city was selling them water at a cheaper rate to help subsidize that somewhat. There was a point at which when the new guys, the young guys, were taken to take it over, they came before city council, and they asked city council to give them a huge amount of water in addition to that we were already paying for. And I had just come on the council, and my reaction was that we have people in town who have a hard time paying their water bill, and you're asking us to give water away to a private golf course. And I said, personally, I can't support that. And the folks who took it over, their membership was not, they weren't paying much membership, so they couldn't take it. So it would be a huge expense, I think, for the city. That's my personal opinion, to try to open an old golf course and maintain it.
So I have a couple of questions. My first one is going to be for you, Chief. Do you guys get any calls to go out there because people are out there or anything like that to that area at the golf course?
We have a few calls about one back there. Parking.
Okay. Gotcha. Right. Right. My biggest concern is moving it from centrally being located in town to somewhere and creating more problems for law enforcement. We're opening up another area that doesn't have a lot of traffic and a lot of problems. And then if we say, okay, there's disc golf out here in the boonies behind the city lake, and now we have our officers pulled outside to, take care of things that could be handled in town. I think there's more eyes in town to pay attention to what's going on. I do agree with you as far as the major road goes. I was one of the people that asked for one of those baskets to be moved up closer to Market, because even when I was growing up, there was a little girl that got hit and killed right there. So I was totally against that basket being close to the ditch. So I did ask for one of those baskets to be moved. I didn't know there was one right by a grill. I think that maybe we could have placed that one a little bit better, but that was also done when a few of us were out of town and we were on the phone with Jay kind of trying to tell him where to put stuff. So I'm not saying that the baskets can't be relocated out of the walkway. I've been here my whole life, and I can tell you for the last 20 years, as much as I've paid attention to the park, I haven't seen very many people walking. So the trail is awful. So I think that a lot of people go to the school to walk now. I don't think that the park is that big of a deal as far as walking goes. But I do agree, if we could even relocate the grill or the basket to accommodate that with the grill issue. I just don't think that moving it outside of town is going to do us any good as far as the law.
Is the grill even functioning? Or is it just a pile of rust?
No, it's still
People do use it?
We have, in the last few years, we have had it leased, and they have actually cut hay off the golf course that was basically maintain it and not let it grow up so much. But we've had folks who have actually mowed and cut hay out there. So,
well, one of my other thoughts was, and it's actually on the next agenda item, is if we're going to put any sort of thought, effort, and energy into making the park usable with usable equipment and more accommodating to the community. I mean, if I'm going to go out there on a Saturday and want to have a birthday party, I don't want to get hit in the head with a disc golf frisbee thing. And that's just a very small area for a bunch of, flying discs and trying to spend any other time out there. So it kind of feels like the park is almost unusable as anything but a disc golf course if anyone is playing disc golf out there.
Do we have to have as many of those baskets out there?
So Benji originally wanted, I think, 6 or 8. I think that's what was on his map that he had presented to us. I drive by there all the time, and I don't even really see people there. But I also feel like, as a community, if somebody's having something at the park, I don't see someone going down there and saying, "Excuse me," while I throw my disc, to the basket. I don't see that being an issue as far as people knowing that someone's down there trying to have a party, that they're just going to step in between and, try to, it could happen. I'm not saying it can't, because there are those people, but I just think that, I do agree the park is small. I don't think that we need more than 4 baskets. It's an odd place to have the baskets to begin with, just because of the trees and everything else. I've never seen anyone down there playing. But I just don't think the golf course is the best option.
What about the park over on 14th, across from Witchers?
And it's there, off 14th, it's right there.
Is it behind Quick Check?
Yeah, that's the city's, and it's not being used. I don't know if there's enough space there or not, but there's nothing being done there at this point.
And I wasn't aware of that place either.
And there's a ton of trees there,
There's
right?
a bunch of trees there.
Then I would be even completely okay with that, because I want both sides of the fence to be mutually beneficial. My Saturday plans are to go play disc golf. I show up and everybody's out there playing. I'm going to be the nice guy and I'm going to leave. So one side's got to lose. So
you might look at the space over there, Mr. Webb, and see it's there on 14th Street.
Hickory.
It's on the
That
east
was
side.
donated.
Telling him it's on the east side.
Yeah, and it was donated by Ann. Richard Owen.
It would be a good course.
It was Ann's, and she gave it to the city. So,
And this was his idea from the jump. But like if you live up the road behind Quick Check.
all right, that brings us down to the EWP park grant, and we provided you with some information. This Charles Edwards called our attention to this. This is a grant for parks, and there's a number of different opportunities and ways to go. But it's a local park application. It opened May 1st, and it's basically it's a program that provides 50% matching funds that are reimbursed once the grant is awarded and the plan is put in place. Then they reimburse up to 50%. And it must be a site that's dedicated as parkland in perpetuity and properly maintained and open to the public. And it's funded each year following August 1st deadline. And so there's some more information on this. It would be an opportunity. In fact, I went back and pulled this park plan that I believe Mr. Hall and Mr. Owen and Mr. Massey, and I'm assuming that's Kenny, worked on, and they laid out kind of a plan for the park. this is something you all are interested in pursuing, we can let Charles know that, and he will guide us through what we need to do. And there's some training. They actually have some consultants that will come and kind of work with people to do that. Mr. Webb.
I just wanted to add a note that the city of Van Alstyne is upgrading one of their newest parks to a full ADA compliant park, and they are offering up all of their equipment for bid through the Van Alstyne Police Association. I reached out and they haven't had a whole lot of people reach out and discuss with them, so that may be something we may want to jump on and discuss maybe a bid for the items that may come across as less than 50% of what we might get covered on one of these for future workshops.
Is this something you all want to pursue? Yes. So if you will make a motion or present a motion to contact Mr. Edwards, I will do so. Charles Edwards, and ask him what we do next moving forward.
I'll make a motion, we contact Charles Edwards.
Okay. I'll contact that motion to contact Charles about this, and we have a second. Second from Ms. Lane, all in favor? Raise your right hand. Motion carries. We will do so. The city of Honey Grove does not routinely list the items for executive session consideration. However, consistent with the authority cited below, the city may retire into executive session as permitted and as needed on agenda items as authorized by Texas Government Code Section 551-071, consultation with the attorney, or to deliberate about private property or personnel matters, 551.074. So we're, at this time, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn to executive session.
I'll make a motion.
I have a motion from Ms. Massey that we adjourn to executive session. Second from Ms. Lane. All in favor? Motion carries. It is possible that there's a workshop back in that local history room, so we may have to go right across the way.